Hello and welcome to the Ideas by Mike podcast with your host, Mike Milligan. I'm Wendy McConnell. Hey, Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Wendy. Just back from vacation, and I'm fired up about being here today, as always.
All right. Sounds good. So you're relaxed, you're refreshed, and you're renewed.
And I got a tan.
Oh, yes, you do, mister.
I have a tan, which that's always great to have at the end of October. So I'm really excited about this.
You're a happy guy. All right. So we have some guests today. Would you like to introduce them for us?
I would. As part of this one-of-a-kind financial planning process we've been talking about tax planning, retirement income planning, investment planning. Today, we're going to talk about long-term care planning. And so I'm really just happy to have Heather Holmes, who's the founder and CEO of Lumiant, and Nicola Perry, who is vice president of sales. Ladies, it's so good to have you here today to talk about the growing problem that we have with long-term care planning in America. I always start out by asking all of our guests, what makes you one of a kind? So, Heather, what makes you, beyond the business you have been able to build, what makes you truly one of a kind?
Well, thanks, Mike. And of course, that's always a showstopper of a question here. But, I would say that really, I've been really fortunate to live kind of a global nomad lifestyle and to be able to find a partner and a husband who lives life in a very similar way. So, for the past, decade and a half, being able to work in many different countries and be able to build a business, and for him to be able to do the same thing and for us to support each other with that has been, I think, a huge part of who we are. I mean, Lumiant is an Australia founded company, and stepping in as a CEO there, we're able to go spend time there, come back to the US, then go with him to Europe. And that's been a huge part of our life and a complicated thing to plan for, but it's been a key thing for us.
Wow, that's amazing. Nicola, I'll ask you the same question. What makes you truly one of a kind?
Yeah, wow. There's so many ways to answer that question. I believe really what sums it up for me, I think, is that I'm an adapter and survivor. Life gives you a lot of different turns, as we know, and my life has. And I'm here. And I'm loving every minute of it. Mm-hmm. And not to really focus on the work aspect of it, but I do feel that the work that we do at Lumiant and that I get to participate in, it's really exactly where I was supposed to be. And over these last few years, I just continuously trust the timing. And that's it, trusting the timing of my life.
We all live, and I say this over and over again, so you guys haven't really heard me say this much, but we all live a one-of-a-kind life. It's truly amazing that we all have different expiration dates, different aspirations, different goals, different travels, different expectation of life. And that's why Ideas by Mike was founded to create the one-of-a-kind financial plan for your one-of-a-kind life. And you guys are huge parts of that. Because of the 5 elements of the one-of-a-kind financial plan, long-term care planning is a huge element. And so can you guys describe or talk about how the company was founded and then what the major purpose you guys are trying to help people fulfill with the amazing solution you guys have?
Sure, Mike, I'm happy to jump into that. So the product that I think we're talking about in particular is called Halo. And so and Halo was acquired by the company Lumiant. So just to kind of make it a little bit more specific here, Halo is all around helping people really understand their longevity and understand their health and understand those in a lens of how health and wealth connect together. Because if you think about it, it doesn't matter how much wealth you have if you don't have good health to be able to enjoy it. And so Halo was the concept of Halo came from my work in the healthcare industry. So I had the fortunate opportunity to not only work in the US healthcare system, but also work in a global role. So it didn't matter whether I was living in Singapore and working in Southeast Asia or spending time in Latin America. I saw these similar trends where people would delay choices and care around their health, oftentimes because they were concerned about the financial impact and not realizing that delaying some of this preventative care, delaying some of these things that we know we should be doing can actually be more financially catastrophic later. And so the whole idea of Halo was to take what I was seeing in healthcare in different situations around the room or around the world and help people understand the financial choices and impact and what is the things that they could do to help themselves live well longer and hopefully reduce financial impact at the same time. So that was really the genesis of Halo.
We know that longevity has increased, right? For especially in America. If we just talk about America, because that's really where our audience is targeted. We know that like longevity has increased, but we also know that well-being or your health expectancy hasn't increased the same as your longevity. So Nicola, when we look at like how Halo can help an individual see their health expectancy versus their life expectancy, what does a report generally show, folks?
Oh, well, the report goes through, it's an assessment that the client or prospect will take. And we ask several questions about your personal lifestyle choices. And then we pull in that science information. We're going to ask about your ethnicity and then any family history of major diseases. So as we go through that, we then ask, okay, this is what you want to do as far as retirement. Mm-hmm. What age do you want to retire? Where do you want to retire? And then what comes out in that report is a full assessment of their individualized longevity. You're not an actuary table. You're more than that. And so we allow those conversations to get started. Let's talk about the things that you're making choices on as far as your lifestyle. Maybe you're not eating enough fruits and veggies. Let's maybe put some more of those in. Or maybe exercises on the agenda for you to incorporate a little bit more in there, but you haven't been. So we'll be able to show you on that longevity spectrum within the report what you could do to really optimize your healthcare and your longevity projection. And that's what we do. So we go through that, and then at the within that flow chart, we show you where you are today. So you have, for example, 10 working years. And then we've got 21 of those go-go years in retirement. So those are the ones where you're out hiking the national forest. And then we maybe have those 3 years of extended care need. And then we break that down into that home health, that assisted living, and then possibly that nursing home scenario. And then we talk about how that lifeline, as far as how long you're going to be here, you're not just, again, that actuary table. We're going to be able to plan to when you're 98 years old instead of sticking in a 90-year-old statistic. Go on to help you with giving suggestions of changing some of those lifestyle choices that you're making. And then also we talk about the hereditary aspect because there's a ton of science that goes into the algorithm. Our proprietary algorithm, it compares each individual to people that are just like them. So it's very much customized to who they are. And then at the very end of it, we talk about those needs, that extended care need, and then we're able to put in the cost specific to the state that they would like to retire in. So as an advisor, you can utilize this, talking to your client, planning for the future.
And that's where we come in, right? So as a certified financial planner, we then take that report, and just like somebody would save for a home or save for retirement income or save for a kid's college, we can then take your guys' data, your specific algorithm, and then use what we know best, and that's money, and be able to help you solve for that. And so that's it's a perfect tool as part of our long-term care. The conception of retirement, right, it used to be, right, everybody moves to Florida, like the villages, right? And
Right.
I don't know if that's going to be the same going forward with like that becoming Hurricane Alley now, but if you think about it, right, the conception was as people in the Northeast, the Midwest, who were used to cold weather, they would just move down to the villages, be in harmony with everybody. And everybody thinks that's what retirement is. But let's talk about some of the misconceptions, if we can, about what happens to your health in retirement. Because one of the things that we know is the choices you make today impact your future. Like people that suffer, in extended long-term care, it could be genetics, but it's also about choices you make. So let's talk about, Heather, if you don't mind, let's talk about some misconceptions people have about long-term care.
For sure, Mike. And I would really say it's long-term care, it's longevity, it's misconceptions about kind of life. I think all of us really want to believe that we're going to live our best life and pass away in our sleep. But the reality is that the majority of us are maybe are not that fortunate. We're going to have phases of our life where we're going to be in that active go-go phase. We're going to have phases that we're going to move into what we call that slow-go phase. And it's different for each person. And I think that's the important thing, is understanding at an individual level what that could look like for you. Plan for the worst case scenario, but then look at ways of how you can optimize to maybe improve and live your best life. So the things that we know is that the majority of Americans underestimate how long they're going to live. And we can tell you, looking within the data of Halo, that the majority of clients who are working with an advisor live well beyond the average person. So think about the risk of that. If you're planning for the average life expectancy, and we know that working with Mike means you probably have an above average longevity, that can put some of your lifestyle and your finances at risk. And then the other part is, Mike, you hit on, is the kind of long-term care or extended care, or however you want to pay for it. So the first thing is like talking about the villages. That's a great example because community is important. And what we see in the longevity data is having good social connections is a really important part of helping to enhance longevity. But the reality is we're still going to face those later in life challenges of slowing down. Unfortunately, we can't escape that part of it. So being able to have a good plan and understanding what that means to you in a personalized way is key. And for each person, that's going to be different. It could be very minimal or it could be a lot, but it's better to be prepared than not being able to have the care that you need.
So, Nicola, when's the right time to start planning for long-term care, and what steps should be taken first?
Yeah, I would say the best time for long-term care, it's now. Early planning allows you and your family to understand the available services and those costs. These are important decisions, and now is the time to make them. We typically see the heaviest usage among Halo clients. They're between 40 and 70. And that aligns with that typical demographic of an advisor's client base. While we do observe a few younger segments, occasionally among older clients, our primary focus remains on those pre-retirees and early retirees. We emphasize the importance of engaging what we call those pivotal year families, which include individuals in their 30s and early 40s. These are your clients that might be starting to care for family. So they're entering that caregiving situation with their aging parents. And it's significant because they're navigating important life changes and often have their own concerns about planning effectively, especially in light of costs and impacts of caregiving, not only fiscally, but just the stressors that are placed on a family. We move into that sandwich generation where they're that mid to late 40s or 50s. And, between the, clients could be single, divorced, part of a couple, but they all share that common focus on their parents aging. So they have that heightened awareness of that fiscal aspect, and then the time that it takes, that you're committing to caregiving. And, a lot of them express those concerns. We all do, really, about not wanting to be a burden on our loved ones. So, as we go through this, as far as, we want to have them, leverage the data that we have, and put it into their healthcare longevity planning. It's important to just consult a professional, like that's just like Mike. We want to be able to assess their needs, determine that level of care you think you might need, discuss those different costs. And that's, again, in the Halo report available to you. And then exploring those options. We go into it and we think that we have these assumptions that my daughter is going to take care of me. Well, maybe your daughter has different plans. So really the very first thing to do is discuss with family. Talk to your family about it. Then create that financial plan with your advisor, and then move through getting that plan in place and sticking with it.
Everything you said there is just so true about like how different generations have different ideas about what long-term care is. And it's a conversation we're not having enough.
Yeah.
I am, I'm the founder of Ideas by Mike. Obviously Mike is why I did this, right? I'm always intrigued by founder stories. It's just like, they just like, why, a founder is just an entrepreneur who saw a problem and thought that they could fix it, right? So Heather, like, I'm interested like in the founding story of like Halo, right? Like, and why was it? I know why it was created, because we use it with our clients, but just why, in your words, why was Halo created?
Just to give you the personal aspect of that, I mean, my father had been very sick, and he had been our key financial decision maker in the household, and he was the one that we always trusted, and was our person for that stuff. But what often happens when people start having a lot of health challenges is that it also starts impacting them as far as their financial decision making. They tend to go hand in hand. And that was exactly what was happening at the time of his health failing. And so, as he was hospitalized, as we were going through this and trying to figure out how do we help get him well, we started to understand that there had been some financial decisions that seemed out of character for him. And my brothers and I and my mother weren't really sure who to trust and who to turn to understand, were these good decisions, since he'd always made good decisions financially, or were these decisions that didn't feel quite right to us not the right decisions? And for us, it was a scary time. I mean, because we're really concerned about our dad's health, but also because we weren't really sure if we could trust what happened, and we weren't sure if we could trust the people who had gotten him into some of these financial things, because they were new to us, not the normal financial people that we knew. And so I made a pledge to myself that if my father got well, I was going to commit my life to trying to help making it easy for families to understand in an unbiased way, if there are different care potential needs, what do these costs look like, and to better understand and assess if they have the right insurance to help protect them. So everything about Halo is designed to protect the integrity of that client's information and data, and to be used in that unbiased way. The only people who see that information is the client and their advisor, to better understand, do they have the right products and services? Do these decisions make sense? And to be able to easily explain to other family members why the choices were made that were made. And so that's my commitment with Halo, is to demystify the things that my brothers and my mother and I wish we would have had at that time. And I mean, just to wrap up that story, Mike, unfortunately, he was in a more fragile state and was approached by people with a product that would have been catastrophic to my parents. And so something like Halo could have really helped us more quickly unravel that and understand. And so that's really the power of Halo. And that's what I hope is a gift to other families, is to be able to not go through the things that we went through.
Wow, that's a lot of founders create things because it's very personal to them. That is absolutely amazing. That you thought that you could create or change other people's outcome by what you created. And I will tell you, for somebody who uses it with clients, it's working. Right? There's other people that are not going to experience the same thing you guys did. So I would just say, I mean, amazing. Your work is doing something that is radically changing people's lives and helping them demystify what is a very scary time, which is the end of their life. So Nicola, if we identify that there's a need, right, for long-term care, um, the report, like you mentioned earlier, will put numbers um, to it from a family standpoint. With your financial background, how does the report that Halo generates for a client make it easy for them to understand the end of life outcomes?
Yeah. Wow. The assessment and the report that comes from it, it changes the way you're sitting down with the client and having that conversation. So many times the response that I get, it just removes that sales aspect from kind of that misconception that clients have or prospects have, that's what financial services do. That's how it works. It's not just about the service and the products. It's about the individual and what is important to them. We help to make that stickier client relationship because it's about the individual. And I know I've emphasized that, but it really is what sets us apart from any other product that's out there. You're talking about this, going through this report, talking to this client, and it is about them because they know that they filled this out. And it helps to say, okay, here's where we are. We need to talk about what products and services we need to put into place. But it's about them, and that's where it starts, and it will end there too. It's just creating that personalized experience that you might typically not be getting anywhere else. I would say that you don't, unless you're using products like Halo to help you understand those long-term care needs, understanding your longevity, and then just creating that plan around it. That's what you do because you care about your clients. So the report at the end of the day, I think, just accentuates the care that you already provide to them and how important they are. It emphasizes it, and then you can put that plan into play.
Just two quick questions before you guys before we end our episode today. Heather, when I hear her talking about what the peace of mind and the things that it gives people in this must cost a fortune for somebody to take the assessment. Is that true?
No, so so Halo is offered only through financial professionals who are wanting to do this kind of personalized planning with their clients and care to have that kind of level of good personalized data for them. And
Right.
so this is something that clients or prospects can only get through you, Mike, and through other advisors. So obviously that's the service that you are providing to them.
And so it's in other words, like it's something that's like one of a kind that financial people can give for people who live one of a kind lives. Did I hear you say that right? Isn't it absolutely amazing? But listen, I'm kind of on a mission to change the industry, not just for the clients that we serve, but just the industry. And like some of the people who listen to our podcast are in this industry also. So like if they wanted to reach out to you to offer this, because I don't want to keep things that benefit people and make them better to myself. Like if they wanted to reach out to you guys to make it part of their planning process, whatever they call their planning process, how would they do that?
Sure. They can reach out to me directly, Nicola, Nicola at More than happy to schedule some time with them and discuss the Lumiant Halo product along with our Lumiant product. So, yeah, all client engagement, all about your clients and what's important to them.
And Mike, if you don't mind me just jumping in, I would say one of the things that I really think is one of a kind about the way that you do planning is I love how you've incorporated a health coach and you're really thinking about bringing in that wellness aspect. I mean, that how you've embraced that and brought that in is truly one of a kind and is something that I think is really special of what you're offering to clients specifically. And it just goes beautifully in tandem with Halo, because Halo can help clients see if they make these changes, how they can optimize their life. And then you have that health coach right there that can help them really visualize what that looks like in the future.
Heather, this is personal to me. Like being in this financial planning business and changing it, it's like it's personal, right? I don't want to be the biggest in the world. I just want to have the biggest impact to each person we come across. And it's like, that's what I think makes us unique. But like my story has a health component to it that like, I just know that I'm going to expire, right? There's nothing in this, that this world is going to keep going on without Mike in it one day, but I want to be here as long as I possibly can. And like the tools like you guys have, like when I took it for myself, it was like a slap in the face. Right. And you're right. It's as simple as like eating more fruits and vegetables, right? Increasing your steps, right? Doing memory games, right? I do Wordle every morning to help with like my memory, right? And I do other games, right? Because I don't want to slip at the end of my life. And so, you're the impact you're making because of what your dad and your mom went through is helping me, but it's also helping the people in our firm. So I want to thank you guys, right? For everything you guys are doing. And I know that you guys are constantly innovating and improving your algorithm and as data comes out. So I want to thank you guys for not only what you guys done in the past, but what you guys are going to continue to do in the future.
Well, I just want to thank you in return, Mike, because just going to jump in here because you were, as we were bringing Halo into the Lumiant family, you're my second sale. And I was so excited about it just because the perspective that you had and the avenue that you were taking with your clients, it was so different, but so special. And I mean, talk about ideas. You have these wonderful ideas, but it creates an environment where people want to come and talk to their financial advisor because they want to engage with you. You've made this really special. Talking about ideas by Mike internally, it's something that happens often with us. You're making a difference. And I'm happy to be here today to share that part of how we got started.
Well, thanks for that.
Yeah.
So, Mike, how do people get in touch with you if they want one of those one-of-a-kind financial plans?
Well, they go to Ideas by Mike. You can Google it. You can go to ideasbymike.com. You can go to Instagram at Ideas by Mike, Facebook at Ideas by Mike, YouTube at Ideas by Mike. It's kind of a weird thing we have. But if you just go to Ideas by Mike, anywhere on the web, you're going to find us. And as part of the one-of-a-kind financial plan, which includes retirement or tax strategies, which is the highest expense we're ever going to have in our life, right? If we can reduce those, retirement income, money that you can't outlive so that anxiety is lived, investment management to take the risk out so that you can actually have some peace of mind and you're able to sleep at night, knowing what happens at the end of your life with long-term care planning, right? And we don't call it long-term care insurance. We call it long-term care planning because our idea is if we don't need insurance, don't use it, right? And let's just be as healthy for as long as we can. Let's get our health expectancy to our life expectancy. That's part of one-of-a-kind plan. And then legacy planning, which we'll talk about next time. Wendy.
Okay, sounds good. Well, thank you to all of you, and thank you for listening. Please like, follow, and share this podcast with your friends. Until next time, I'm Wendy McConnell.
Thank you for tuning in to Ideas by Mike, the podcast. the show where ideas turn into money. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to click the follow button to stay up to date on future releases. For additional information on becoming a part of the Ideas by Mike community, check out our website at ideasbymike.com. Don't forget to take a look at the show notes, and for more financial insights, subscribe to the Ideas by Mike YouTube channel or visit the website to find one of the upcoming webinars. Also, connect on Instagram or Facebook at Ideas by Mike. Ideas by Mike is an LLC headquarters in Virginia with offices in 42 cities. The company owns an insurance agency registered in all states directly or through affiliate companies. Mike is an investment advisor representative with JB Wealth Advisors. Any financial planning information shared on the show should not be construed as financial advice for you personally. For your one-page financial plan, please reach out to Ideas by Mike through the website. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Ideas by Mike. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investment advice. Any financial planning information shared on the show should not be construed as financial advice for you personally. For your one-page financial plan, please reach out to Ideas by Mike through the website.